5 powerful study tips. Tip number 1. Have study goals. This tip can literally change the way you study. It's going to bring a revolution. It's very simple, but then it's not easy to do it. It's not easy because it wasn't meant to be easy. But yes, it's very simple. You can do it every single day. And the tip is this. What I've seen is a lot of students, more than 90% of the students, when they sit to study, they wouldn't have a particular goal in their mind. They wouldn't know how much they would be studying for that particular day. It's something like, okay, today I'm going to open my book and I'm going to read or study as much as I can. And the moment their mood goes off, the book shuts. So what you need to do is, every day when you sit to study, you need to decide in advance. You need to set a goal as to how much you would be studying. Half a chapter, 1 chapter, or 2 chapters. But then don't overdo it. Don't get super excited and set yourself a goal that is, very difficult to achieve. Something like, I'm going to finish 10 chapters today. So finishing 10 chapters would look, it's a mountain of a task. So it is always better that you set achievable goals, maybe half a chapter, 1 chapter, or maybe 2 chapters. So set a goal before you study, otherwise don't study for that day. So tip number 1, set study goals. Every single day, open the book, do the markings, this is what I'm going to do, and come what may, you got to finish the goal whether you are in the mood or not. If you're not in the mood to study, let's say you decide to study 2 chapters, alright, and you finish 1.5, and there is another half chapter to go, and you don't cheat yourself. Don't say, okay, I'm going to finish this the next day. No, you're not going to do that. If you're not in the mood to study, go for a jog for 20 minutes and then come back. That would change your state of mind, and then you can continue studying. Don't take this tip light. You do it, you would understand the power of this particular tip only when you do it. When you do it, you would come back to me, you would maybe write to me or write a comment that it did help you. But then you got to do it in order to experience the change in you, in order to experience the power behind this particular tip. And then tip number 2, creative study methods. Use a lot of creative study methods. Don't just stick on to your regular way of studying. I've seen a lot of students, what they do is they either write and practice, or what they do is they read the answer out loud and they keep doing that. So they are stuck in 1 or 2 ways of studying. Don't do that. Use methods like mind maps. Use the mono acting technique that you learned in my workshop. Walk around and study. Record your answers and listen to your answers. These are creative ways of studying. So use a lot of creative ways of studying. That way you stimulate both the sides of your brain, and studies become very interesting. And tip number 3 is test yourself. Yes, you must be doing this already, but then one thing that you need to be doing is, when you test yourself, your room or your table needs to look like the table in the examination hall. Yes, you heard me right. You will carry only your answer sheet and then the question sheet, and with your exam pad there, you would sit there, and you may also want to write your roll number on the table, so that everything looks like your examination hall, and be serious about the test. Once you sit there for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever the time that you set for yourself, depending on the test, you need to sit there and you need to behave as if you are sitting in your examination hall, and get your papers corrected by someone who can do the job for you, maybe your mother or maybe your teacher. Alright, so what this tip actually does is, what this method does is, it creates neural pathways inside your brain and then make you future ready for the examination. You would be well prepared for your examination. When you go to the examination hall, you might also end up beating your exam fear using this particular tip. Alright, so keep testing yourself. You should know how much you have studied and how much you know and how much you don't know. A lot of students, they assume, they work on a lot of assumptions. What is assuming? Have you ever observed the spelling assume? Assume is this: the first 3 letters, as, you, and me. You make an as out of you and me. That is what assumption does. Don't be a donkey who really works hard. That is what I mean by as, by the way. All right, and don't work hard like a donkey. And here, coming back to testing yourself. See, when you test yourself, what this does is, you wouldn't be working on assumptions, because a lot of students, they assume that they know the answer till the time they're tested. They say things like, Mama, I know that chapter, I studied that, I know that already, let's move on. And when Mama takes a test in regards to that chapter, you get stuck, and that's when you realize that you don't know as much as you had assumed. Alright? So you need to take tests seriously at home and then ask questions. Yes, you got to ask questions. If you don't know anything, don't be scared to ask questions. A lot of students, they feel, they have this feeling that they might get ridiculed for asking a question, or they feel that it's a very silly question, why even ask it? And when they must have tried once or twice asking a question in the class, and maybe they must have been ridiculed, or they might have, they might have been asked to shut up in the class, and that's why they stop themselves from asking further questions. Don't do that. Don't do that. Nobody can insult you without your permission. You have all the right to ask questions, and you have all the rights to ask silly questions. A lot of scientists have asked silly questions and uncovered, a lot of facts and truths about our universe. So go ahead and ask questions in order to master your subjects. It is an art that you need to develop, and don't ever feel shy to ask questions. Remember this. Just go for it. You deserve to know the answers. Somebody ridicules you, that's their problem, not yours. And then use your own words to understand topics. Now this is critical. Let's say you study, a particular chapter. You should be able to explain that chapter in your own words, to others, or at least to yourself. You can explain it to the pen. Imagine this pen is your friend, and you keep explaining it. Go to a mirror, face the mirror, and start explaining the chapter in your own words. And once you explain the chapter in your own words, you would end up mastering the chapter. You would become a teacher now, because you know the answer and you are able to explain it. Alright? Because see, most of it is theory, isn't it? Except for a few definitions. Definitions need to be written the way they are. You cannot have your own definition of something. If you're expected to write a definition of someone, you need to write exactly the way it is. And apart from definitions and a few formulae and theorems and all that, everything is theory. So you should be able to explain it in your own words. So let's recap here. Number one, never study without a goal. Set your goal, for that particular day, and then study. This is the most important tip. And then become creative when it comes to studies. Use mind maps, record your answers and listen, and then test yourself. And when you test yourself, you need to be serious, as if you are taking a real test. You may want to write the roll number on your study table, and then ask questions. Alright, don't assume. Don't assume the answer to be something. It might be something else. So ask questions. And you know what assuming is? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Alright? So, and this me can be anybody, your teacher, your parents, or anybody. And then use your own words to understand topics. The moment you use your own words to understand a particular topic, you end up mastering your subjects. Hope these 5 tips have helped you. Hope to see you in one of my seminars very soon. Until then, lead a very empowered life, and go ahead, become a topper, because you are one.